Hello everyone to another episode of Lesbians Talk About Movies. What did we see? We saw a movie.
Well, I'm professional. We saw a movie actually that was a sequel to the most popular movie ever. No, I'm just lying. We saw
Iron Man 3.
No, we haven't seen that yet. We saw Birdemic 2.
Yes, we did.
Be impressed!
Yes, we saw it actually several days ago, but we were not able to see it till now. But
suspension of disbelief. We just saw it tonight.
It's you know, it's still way in advance of most people seeing it.
You haven't seen it. I'm just saying, audience.
Well, they might have. I know
Mikey?
Hack the Movie saw it.
Hack the Movie saw it. Cryptic Psych saw it.
Yeah, there was a couple. It's showing at a couple of film festivals right now. I don't know when its general release is. The one we saw, it was Mondo Baltimore in Wisconsin, wasn't it?
Baltimore. It was Mondo Baltimore's Pity Party / Tromapalooza. I think the name kind of changed somewhere in the middle, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they probably should have called Tromapalooza. Because
I don't know why they changed it. What are you going to do?
Troma has a bit more name recognition. But it was a good time. We saw a few films. We saw Doomsday County, which I enjoyed enough.
Very good. It's very good.
Which I enjoyed enough to buy on DVD. Actually, distract them.
What?
Distract them.
Okay, so, airline food. I mean, what's with that? I mean, you know, am I right?
Good work. Yeah, about Mondo Baltimore. If you're in the Baltimore area, they meet on the first Thursday of the month in the evening, and
they watch films.
Yes, they watch crazy movies. But this was their first annual event, and it was their first annual event. And they're going to be, like, every year, show a bunch of films. They had, like, a couple of celebrities there. It was really quite cool.
Celebrities.
It was like a lower, I want to say lower budget. It was like a smaller version of Troma Dance, but it had a much better setting than Troma Dance.
Yeah.
Troma Dance? What does Troma Dance have?
It's got a 1970s style bowling alley that serves alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, in the ghetto.
Well, this one is slightly not in the ghetto and is down the street from a very nice Jamaican restaurant. And
we were gonna have goat, but it wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, it has the really 1940s cinema, which was a cinema. Then it was a theater. Then it was a church. Then it was a derelict, and now it's a cinema again. Now it's sort of does other stuff, and it was really cool as locations go. But we saw a few films there. Doomsday County, which was good, and we saw Mr. Bricks, which wasn't.
It was so bad. It was the world's only heavy metal murder musical, and there's probably a good reason why that is.
Yes.
It's very bad.
I'm just sort of sitting forward, so I look like a giant. I look gianter than usual. But, yes, Doomsday County.
Da, da, da. You can tell they really tried hard, and they really had fun with doing it, so definitely pick that up if you have a chance.
Oh, check it out. I can totally make it look like it's my face.
It's kind of creepy, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of films, but I immediately went off and bought Doomsday County. That's how much I enjoyed it. Doomsday County. Also bought Blu-ray.
The Taint on Blu-ray?
Yes, because Drew Balduke was there.
He was. The writer, director, music guy, actor, pretty much everything in The Taint.
And he signed this for me.
Cool guy.
Yeah.
We've got an interview with him and also his Q&A, so do check that out too.
This is Australian, and it's much worse than it looks. And this is called Pigs.
Pigs.
Most of these I have no idea what they're about. I just bought them because they weren't that expensive and they looked interesting. So if it might be reviews, maybe. Corpus Christi.
And you met the director, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I talked to the director of this.
He was a nice guy.
Although he said it was a short film, but this actually says on the back it's like 130 minutes. So
maybe that's like with the extra features and stuff.
That's true.
Can't really see that very well.
Punk Rock Holocaust.
Oh my gosh, Punk Rock Holocaust. It's red and everything.
Yeah. Punk Rock Holocaust 2.
Oh my gosh, how can we even?
Trilogy of Blood, Dead Necks.
I know, right?
Pleasures of the Damned.
they get to having a good time.
I think this is a prequel to Isle of the Damned. I don't know. Sledgehammer. This looks like it's going to be a takeoff like Driller Killer or something.
She's making a rather precarious pile on the table, you guys. You can't see.
It's going to fall over and make a noise
Yes.
before we talk about Birdemic.
Which is what we promised, the point of this vlog.
Isle of the Damned.
What?
Why do these savages hate us so? It says on the back. And The Bloody Ape. A film about Oliver Reed.
At least it's not the Grape Ape.
So yeah, I bought a bunch of films at things. So if you're in Baltimore next year, roughly, go.
They're
It
good
was
people.
fun.
They're
And
good people.
look at PME for we're doing videos about it.
Yeah, we've got an interview with Dr. Acula and Galinda, who are the, I think the founders and the bosses of Mondo Baltimore. We've got a whole bunch of interviews, so yeah, do check that out.
Yeah.
But what else did we see, dear heart?
Birdemic 2.
Shock and Alarm. Actually, I think it was called The Resurrection.
Yeah, The Resurrection. Okay. It's going to be spoilers, though it's hardly
But
necessary.
really, I mean, you knew that it was going to happen. So what are you doing?
Nothing. The, yes. Imagine Birdemic 1, make the birds larger, and include cavemen and jellyfish.
Oh, it was like an inexplicable jellyfish. Like, there was no plot reason that it was there. And it also was a razor-sharp jellyfish, too.
Yeah, it came up...
It cut her.
It attacked this poor blue screen scene, and it came up from below, and, the top of it
She was, like, razor cuts. And, like, she lay down on the beach, and, like, there were every time the shot went back to her, there were more bleeding razor cuts. I was like, because how sharp jellyfish are.
Yeah, she was like there. You could just see her legs coming from the bottom.
And it
of the
wasn't.
screen,
It
and
was
then
like she was like. No, you're doing wrong. It was like
yeah, and then it.
Like animated in like Microsoft Paint.
And then the top of the jellyfish hits the top of her
And then she like comes
legs.
stumbling out of the legs like
Oh no! It's all over my arms for some reason.
She was bleeding
oh my
all
God.
over the place. It was just so. But anyway.
And they removed the greatest character from Birdemic 1, which was Rod's horny best friend, who was the only actor who actually attempted to make it a performance.
Like, this was full of awkward white boy high fives. I
think Birdemic 1 was as well.
Yeah, but this had more.
Yes.
More per capita awkward white boy high fives. They had the same guy singing another song. The only redeeming factor of the song from Birdemic 1 was the chorus is hanging out with the family, having ourselves a party. And I think it was at our wedding reception, the one that we had for the family. We were getting ready and all of a sudden Hagen says, "Hey, you know what we're doing, honey? We're hanging out with the family, having ourselves a party." Solid gold right there.
Because we were. But,
Thank you, James Wynn. Thank you.
But you thought that James Wynn was one of the actors for a while.
I did. I thought that the little screenwriter guy, who seemed like like a M. Night Shyamalan-esque self-insert character, he was a different actor because we don't know what James Wynn looks like.
Well, I didn't think it was him because I'd seen him in interviews.
Oh.
But it's set in Hollywood, and one of the main characters is a screenwriter. And rather bizarrely, the main character from the last film is actually like the best friend of the main character from this one.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's like it's going sideways.
Yeah, and like the little kid comes back. One of the little boy from the end of Birdemic comes back, and there's a scene because I was wondering. I was like, oh, we'll bring our adopted son so and so. I'm like, what happened to the girl? And they're like in a museum. They're at the La Brea Tar Pits, looking at an exhibit, and he's like, gee, I bet my sister would have loved to see this. Too bad she got a disease and died. Or too bad she died from a disease she got from the fish that Rod cooked. Remember at the end of the last movie? Remember?
Seamless.
Yeah.
But yes, I worked out there was a meta message behind Birdemic 2. Now, one of the main characters is this, Asian guy who's a screenwriter.
He's not really a main character. He comes into it like 2/3 of the way into the movie.
Well, about halfway through, when the birds attack.
Yeah.
But he's one of them there, and then right at the end, the birds kill him, and then they stop attacking.
And that's the end of the movie. They just like slowly shrink next to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, it's not like even the original one where it's saying, oh look, it looks like the birds are leaving. In this one it's just a case of, oh, we killed the Asian screenwriter, so I think they're symbolically killing James Nguyen, and that's why the film has ended, because the writer is now dead.
And there's even more smug environmentalists. Like, there's literally like a zoo where no one's getting attacked, and they're like, why is this? And the elderly zookeeper's like, well, we live a green life here, so ha.
Because we are self-sufficient because of global warming.
It's, oh my god, it's so stupid. And like the hippie from the last one was saved by this woman who is the daughter of a big Hollywood producer, and now they have their own reality show about how they're a green couple, and it's just so, it's kind of embarrassing.
It is nice to know that James Nguyen, unlike Tommy Wiseau, did not try to retroactively make Birdemic a comedy. And
he had a formula, and by God, he stuck to it the second time.
Yeah, he's not taking the piss out of it. He got a tiny bit more money, and he made a sequel. And he's trying to make it good, like he tried to make the other one good. It's just that James Nguyen's mind apparently doesn't work the same way as most
He did
people's.
like every single thing exactly the same as the first one. It reminded me of, there's actually an old Chinese proverb. There was a farmer one day that was standing near a stump at the edge of woods, and he saw a rabbit running, and the rabbit, dodged to miss him because it saw him at the last second, and it hit the stump and its neck broke. And he was like, oh, here's dinner now that I didn't have to catch. And forever afterwards, the Confucian scholars say, he stood by the stump hoping for another rabbit.
That's causation and correlation getting mixed up.
It's an ancient Chinese proverb.
Causation and correlation.
Yeah, but so I think that was the rabbit neck stump breaking moment.
Well, he stuck with it, and hopefully he'll make some money out of it, because, I think he should make some money. He tries really hard. He's got passion, and he shouldn't be allowed to make films, but we don't have to watch them.
That's true. Well, I mean, he's allowed to do whatever he wants. I mean, it's a free country.
Oh yeah, I just mean that, some people, he shouldn't be, because
he shouldn't be given budget.
He's pretty obviously not very good at it, but...
Oh, and the hangers came back. You'll be glad to know.
Yeah, and they used other weapons as well.
Yeah.
And there were zombies for some reason.
I know, there were randomly zombies, and then there was randomly resurrected cavemen.
Yeah.
They rose to the top of the tar pits. It was really weird, and there was this
flashback to 65 million cavemen.
Yeah, there was a hilariously sketch comedy-esque flashback to two cavemen boning and then being killed by birds.
And then there was a random scene where they were obviously filming a porno or a slasher porno or a slasher, and all the women were topless, and it was rather jarring watching a Birdemic movie and then suddenly almost everyone's topless.
They were in another studio, they were filming a porn, and then the birds came, and then the main characters came and every single person had to be checked, and someone had to say, they're dead, he's dead, she's dead, and to the point where it just became boring for us to add Jim on the end. He's dead, Jim. Stop doing that. Okay.
And there was, they picked up different people from different studios. There was this, Western thing going on.
She died pretty quick.
And the zombie movie was actually better than Children of the Living Dead. It was more competently directed than Children of the Living Dead. And Flesh Eater as well. I don't know if you've ever seen Flesh Eater. It's on my review list.
I just like that they use the same sound effect for the birds. Scree, scree, scree. And the birds do the same thing where they, like a Windows 95 screensaver, would just kind of have repeat the same animation.
Yeah, it's exactly the same way.
And they would dive bomb and into huge gasoline explosions.
And there was hilarious green screen when they were driving a car around.
Yeah, they were like, woo. And then
in some alternating shots, he had sunglasses or not.
Yeah.
I really wish that he'd actually tried to CGI in sunglasses into the live action shots to keep the continuity.
Oh my god, it would be like a Rage comic. But it was quite spectacular. Let's put it that way. It was quite an adventure for all of us.
Yeah, the people in the audience seemed to have a good laugh at it. If you enjoyed Birdemic 1,
you'll enjoy Birdemic 2.
He's not nodding and winking at the audience, so it feels very similar to Birdemic 1.
And there's parts where the audio is really bad. You can tell people aren't in the same scenes because the audio switches as the cameras go back and forth, and yeah.
Yeah, it's called a 3-frame fade between pieces of audio, dude. I worked that out ages ago.
I know how to do ADR, kind of. Even I know that you have to make they have to be equal.
And you got to try and keep the, wild track audio from where you're going, to make it sound natural.
Oh, and there was this red rain phenomenon that they kept using. And the thing
is, like Evil Dead again.
Well, no, they showed the red rain, right? And they showed it over the La Brea tar pit, like the courtyard, I guess, where the visitor center is. But the problem is that I guess they couldn't afford to film at night or something like that because people were it was obviously people just walking around in their day and not noticing that the sky has gone red and there's red rain.
Yes.
There was also, they shot a scene at a little carnival at a pier, and they had to blur out everyone's faces.
Yes.
Probably because either they didn't have a permit to film or they didn't have anyone's consent. They would walk down the street on the
It was like that movie on the internet with it's set in Disney World all over again. Oh, and there was, God damn it, I forgot what I was going to mention. There was something really important. I gotta remember.
Yeah, so there was lots of high fives still. Oh, there was the weirdest way to get casted in the movie. Basically, within the first 5 minutes, the main character, basically picks up his waitress and says, I think you should be in pictures. In fact, I'm a famous Hollywood director. I'm just saying. Oh,
yes, I remembered. Well, then this time it's not just a case of global warming has made birds go crazy and therefore they attack. It's a case of red rain happens because of global warming, which means that undead birds fly out
because
of
these
La Brea
weren't
tar
like
pits.
your standard birds. These were prehistoric birds that basically all shot out of the tar at
and
once.
They were much bigger. But I have to say, halfway through the movie, when they were building up towards the birds coming out, when they were showing shots of the sort of the ones in this museum specimens, and they were playing audio of animals and stuff, that was semi-competently, edited together. Semi-competently.
I just wish that my sister could have seen it. She would have loved it so much, but unfortunately she lives in Utah with a small dog.
Why'd your sister? Why would she have loved it? Is she terrified?
No, because that's the part in the museum where he was like, I bet my sister would have loved it, except for she died from a disease that she got from the fish.
Oh, yes.
My sister really does live in Utah.
Oh, and James Nguyen is almost incapable of hiring a Caucasian actor, actor woman to turn up, who doesn't have bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, all the girls are blonde.
Except for one or two of the porn people.
Well,
I spotted there was at least one person who was topless, who had black hair. My thought on this is that this is him. This is him trying to ape Hitchcock, like he does with a lot of things. And now this is a term that a lot of you aren't going to be familiar with. He's a cargo cult Alfred Hitchcock impersonator.
I don't know what that means, honey. Why don't you explain that for everyone?
Cargo cult is whenever you got groups of people who do not understand why something happens and try to ape surface elements of that in order to make it happen. It's the name comes from these islands in World War II. American soldiers were on the island, and they would bring cargo in there who would to give it to the soldiers. And because of this, the islands got prosperity. So now, to this day, there are some islands, such as the island of Tanna, where you have people will dress up in makeshift American Army uniforms. They have bamboo towers for aircraft. They have runways that they have created themselves out of areas of the jungle. They walk around in formation with bamboo rifles. They do these sort of rituals religiously, which
it's true. It's on Wikipedia.
Which connect to with what the American soldiers did in World War II to try and bring planes with cargo.
It's kind of sad. You really want to have Walmart open up there or something. You really want to go and tell them, you can just. We'll send you things from Amazon. You don't have to do this.
On the same island, Tanna.
We'll give you a Starbucks. Well, don't worry about it, please.
On the same island, Tanna, there's actually a small group of people who worship Prince Philip.
Oh yeah, that's on Wikipedia too, so you should probably...
But basically, James Nguyen is doing what they're doing, but directorially. He is trying to be Alfred Hitchcock by casting women with bleach blonde hair, by having birds attack people. But he doesn't understand why it worked with Hitchcock and why it doesn't understand with him. It's a bit like
sociology. It's like watching. I don't want to say this. I don't know how to say this without being bad. Or it's like watching a little kid try to shave, but they use toothpaste instead because it looks white, just like Daddy does it.
It's possibly a similar sort of thing. I don't know if I would directly compare it, but
Shut up, I like the idea of a little teeny kid looking in the mirror, putting toothpaste in. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm shaving just like Daddy. Don't ruin my metaphors.
Another example of cargo cultness, creationist science. It's cargo cult science. They wear white lab coats. They like to be recorded in front of, old school science equipment or possibly a green screen showing a science room, as though it makes them smart or know what they're talking
Science
about.
and technology. God creating the earth in several days. Just like it says at the Museum of Natural History.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on James Nguyen being part of a cargo cult. James Nguyen, otherwise known as the auteur leaving the Vietnamese restaurant.
That's how he bills himself in the credits.
Yes.
With all his blonde girls.
And apparently the only
all
restaurants...
All the girls are blonde, and the sky is grey.
Red.
No, California Dream. Yeah. Well, no, then it won't match. Somebody filmed California Dreaming for Birdemic too. Write the show.
Just in case you're wondering, yes, still all of the restaurants that turn up in this place are fucking Vietnamese.
No, that's cool because Vietnamese restaurants are great. If you're ever in Columbia, Maryland, please visit Ann Loy. It's on Mitchell Road. It's really good.
Oh yeah, they have the quail and the pho. I'm happy with quail and pho. Just in your fictional universe, you gotta create the illusion that there's
that's all they could do because you see when they walk down the street, like you could see like brand names and company signs and stuff that were blurred out, So maybe that was the only food that would agree to be involved.
Honestly, I doubt it.
Except for that one bar that they were on.
I get the feeling this is probably more like the cargo cult thing. James Nguyen is just filling his tastes throughout the film, permeating. Like, he likes blonde women, therefore every single woman except for possibly one are blonde. He likes Vietnamese food. He's Vietnamese, so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
Although this time they had an RV instead of a minivan, so that was kind of cool.
And that's why, the characters all like Vietnamese food. It's called author appeal, TV Trope says.
What or something? No, don't put the laser on me. So I think we should probably wrap this up before she gets us killed somehow. Yes. It was funny. If you liked Birdemic 2, you like Birdemic, you'll like Birdemic 2. Or I suppose you could always wait for the Riff Tracks live event, which will probably happen sometime next year.
Yeah, it doesn't have the accidental originality of Birdemic 1, because it is pretty much...
But bless his heart, he's trying.
It's a very, very, very similar sequel, but he's not trying to parody it. It's basically him trying to recreate it in a slightly different way. Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it.
No. But that's what we thought about that, so stay tuned and we'll have another vlog at some point. Probably Iron Man 3, I can't wait.